Hello! So it's coming to the end of February and I'm going to need to stitch together my next garden vlog video out of all the little clips that I've recorded on my phone. Now, I don't know if you saw my last video about playing with the MLT framework and getting under the skin of kdenlive, but that is where I'd like to go with it in the long term, to use this nice multimedia framework that can do it. But for now, I'm just going to do it with individual FFmpeg scripts. It's not particularly efficient in terms of CPU time, but it's going to be the quickest way for me to get to my result right now, and then I can keep improving and hopefully and eventually get to the point where I can use the big fancy multimedia framework. But for now, we're going to do it the long-winded way with FFmpeg. So, first thing I need to do is to put the dates for each video into the corner of the screen to superimpose the date that it was recorded. Now, on my January garden vlog video, I did that very manually, and I created individual title clips and updated each one every time the date changed on the video file and overlaid those by hand. But there is a way that we can do this using an FFmpeg filter, and that filter is called draw text. Now, let's see if we can find the documentation for draw text, and I'm going to try and remember that my face is over here, so make this a little bit smaller. So filters. Where are you? There you are, filters. Find draw text. There it is. So this is the filter that we used if we want to draw some text on top of the video. And we have all kinds of options to it. We can draw around a box around the text. We can set the line spacing, border width, border color. Is this? Oh, we can do a bit of text expansion. That's quite nice. Font color, the font that you want to use, all this kind of stuff. So I have actually already started a little bit in this direction. Oh no, I left autofocus on. Hang on a minute, let me turn that off. Okay, there we go. So I did already start in this direction, but the script that I've got for that, I've got it down here on my other screen here as a reference. There's a bit much there for now, and it doesn't entirely work. So I figured what we'd do is just write a simple script that, given a file, a video file, will extract the created date out of that file and then overlay it onto the video in the top right-hand corner, top left-hand corner, with a black background and the Courier monospace font that I seem to be favoring. So let's just do that. Now, as I said, the filter for this is draw text. So in the very basic case, let's just go into last month's video footage. That'll do, that's fine, it's what I've got to hand. Now, sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. So, what we need to do is to specify that we want to use the draw text filter. So we can say, where's my reference? Where's my reference? Here it is. Ah, yes, okay. And note, that's the right metadata. That's my reference, so yes. Video filter, and then we're going to give it a filter graph. Now, the filter graph in this case is just the one filter, so it's very, very simple, and we simply say draw text, and then we're going to give it some key value parameters. Now, those parameters will be things like what we saw here. Well, these are the parameters here. Oh, sorry, you can't. There you go. These are the parameters. So let's start off with font file, because we know that we're going to want to use a particular font. Now, in Linux, our fonts are all to be found in cd user share fonts. If we have a look, we can see that we've got a bunch of subdirectories here, but if we look at the tree, we can see that there's all manner of different font formats. I have no idea what PCF is. Where are the, yeah, there you go, there are your true type fonts. So they're all in there. Now, the one I want is Courier, which, as much as I do like to go Linux and open source and free software, I seem to have a bit of a thing for the Microsoft core TTF fonts, because I always install them. So let's go into TrueType, because it's a TrueType font, and there's Microsoft TT core fonts. And here are all my fonts. So the one I want is going to be Courier New Bold. That's the one I tend to use. And that will be echo pwd for our current directory, and that. So there we go, there's the full path of that font. We could just copy that, go to our console, and the first parameter is going to be font file equals, and then that font, that path. We use a colon to separate the keys and the values that we're passing to the filter. So what else might we want? Well, we're going to want to set the font color, right? So, well, there you go, font color. I thought it was just called color, but it's called font color. The color to be used for drawing fonts. For the syntax of this option, check the FFmpeg utils color section. Okay. If we can just say black, I'm going to say that we can probably also just say white. So let's say font color, I assume it's spelt with no U, yep, equals white. Funnily enough, color in MLT seems to be spelt with a U. So, alright, so let's just run that and see what happens. Okay, it's going to say, I'm sorry, you've told me that you want to draw some text onto the video, but I don't have any text to draw, so what gives? So obviously we're going to need to give it another parameter. And that can be, where is it? There we go. Well, let's provide some text. There it is, text. The text string to be drawn must be a sequence of UTF-8 encoded characters. Cool. So let's do that. Text equals hello there. Right. Now, let's just mute that. It might be a little bit hard to see, but there it is. In white, in the corner of the screen. Now, it's already in the top left, so that's convenient. However, we're going to need it a bit bigger than that. So, how do we set the font size? Let's assume it's going to be called font size. Font file, font color. Font size, there it is. Default is 16. So, what seems like it would be a good value? Font size, what did I use in my script? 24, let's use 24. Try that. Okay, that's a little bit clearer, a little bit bigger. I think we could perhaps go a bit bigger still though. Let's say 36. 36, oh dear, no, 36. I do that all the time, my brain loves swapping digits. There we go. That's not bad, that's a decent size. Okay, we're going to want to put it on a black box though, right? Because that's very difficult to see. So, I'm going to try and see if I can spot how to do this again without looking at my reference script down here. Box color. The color to be used for drawing box around the text. Do we think that that's going to be the right one? No, I'm looking at my script. I couldn't help it. Box color, yeah. Okay. Box color. Box color is black. That did not work. Why did that not work? Used to draw a box around text using the background color. The value must be either 1 enable or 0 disable. Default is 0. Okay. So we need to say, yes, I'd like you to draw a box, please. So box equals 1. Ooh, nice. Okay, getting there. But it's... There definitely needs... We're missing some padding around here, I'd say. That doesn't look great, so... Again, I'm pretty sure we can do this. What would the option be for that? Shadow. Ooh, shadows, okay. I would expect it to be something like margin or padding or X and Y where this text is drawn. Okay, that could be useful. Nope, I'm going to look at my scripts. Text font color, font size, box color. Oh, box border RW. Okay. What's box border RW? Box border. Set the width of the border to be drawn around the box using box color. The value, default value. Okay, all right. So if we set a border, we can then probably set a border width, right? Box border equals, what was it? 10. No, didn't like that. Why didn't it like that? Box border. Oh, it was box border RW, wasn't it? It's box border W, box border width. I was wondering what RW meant. Box border width. There we go. Okay. Now we can see that we've got a bit of space around the box now, which is good, but it's still butted right up there. So it seems that the border of the box doesn't, sorry, the X and Y position of where it starts up in the top left doesn't take into account the border. The border sits on the outside. So in HTML or CSS parlance, that would be the margin, not the padding, because the margin is the space outside the item and the padding is the space inside. So firstly, let's turn that down a little bit, set that to 5, and I think that's what we're then going to need to use the X and Y for, to then move it in by the amount of the border. So X is 5 and Y is 5. Hooray! Okay, that looks decent. Cool. Okay, I've just spotted there. You can see where I've already been at this file with my script, because it's got a title on it. I was trying to set titles. So, okay, that's overlaid the text onto the video. Excellent. We've got that command. So I think what I'm going to do is over here. I'm just going to go into my dot files. Oh no, obviously I moved out onto dot files, bin, and then vim video timestamp. That'll do. Bin bash. And firstly, I'm going to need that command because I know I'm going to execute that at some point. So let's just copy that and paste it into there. Close that. Make it executable, and then come back into it so I can start doing stuff. So first off, let's just change that to FFmpeg, because that's what we're going to need. Now, this is one very, very long command string. So let's try and break it up a bit, because, yeah. How are we going to do that? I think, for a start, I'm going to put a few things into variables. So, declare font is this. No. Courier new bold TTF font, and stick that path into there. Okay. What else needs to be fixed, or needs to be fixed? Okay, let's say the box border, the margin, right? So the padding, let's call that padding. Pad pixels. Pad pixels is 5, and in fact we can declare that as an integer. Not that it's particularly necessary, but we can do. How else can we split this down? I could use an associative array for this. Sod it, let's use an associative array. Declare capital A for associative array, draw text, because these are going to be the draw text parameters. Now, all the stuff that's hard-coded and is going to be fixed, let's just put that in first. So, font color is white. In fact, let's just quote these. Let's be nice. Font size is 36. Box is 1. Box color is black. Let's break that. Okay, and everything else is going to be variables. So variables will be font file is font. Yeah, I did set font color. Box. Okay, so all the padding. Box border width. I mean, you've already. I don't know. Box border width is going to be pad pix x pad pix and y. Okay, text, obviously the all-important text. Text is hello there. Right. Now we need to turn this array into this string. How are we going to do that? So let's say we've got a variable for the video filter. So declare VF, and that's going to start off as draw text equals. Now we'll iterate over all of the elements in this array and we'll just append them onto that string. So for key in, we need to quote it because if any of these, like this contains a space, so if we didn't quote this here, then that space would mean that hello and there got considered to be different keys, assuming that the space was here. So if there were any that had a space in them, like that, then that box would be seen as a key, and then border W would be seen as a key, which is not right. So maybe I can go into a bit more detail on the rules of Bash quoting another day. But for now, we want to iterate over all of them and maintain the quoting. We want to iterate over the keys, so we use hash. No, sorry, we use exclamation. Hash would be the number of elements. And then we say draw text, because that's the name of our array. And then we specifically say all of the elements. So this says, maintaining the quoting, all of the keys, give me the key for all of the elements in draw text. You can kind of think of it that way. If you didn't have that, you'd just get the first element, but you'd get the first key. So maybe that's useful to you, maybe it's not. It's probably not, but who knows. So for key in, do, done. Stop complaining to me. Value, in fact just call it val, key in val, is going to be draw text, the array, and we're going to put that key in. So at this point it's just like an associative array, say in PHP or something like that. It's the same. And then we simply say VF for video filter plus equals, because we're appending to it. And what are we going to append? We're going to append key equals val and then a comma, a colon on the end to separate it from the next value. So at this point we can say VF is just going to be VF, or at least that's the theory. Now there is something else that we need to do. You're right. The very last element will have a trailing colon, and we're going to need to strip that off. So, I can never remember if it's percent or hash. I always get it the wrong way around. Man bash. Where's expansion? There's expansion. Remove matching suffix. Okay, cool. So it will be the single percent. So what we do is say VF, but strip off the colon from the end. I mean, we could do that up here, I suppose. In fact, let's do it up here. VF equals quote, strip off trailing colon. Cool. Now our file is hard-coded, which is not going to be any good. So let's say that's going to be argument 1, and in case there are any spaces in the path, we'll quote it, and I'm going to leave file colon on, because if you've seen any of my previous FFmpeg scripting videos, you'll know that a file name with a colon in it, 4 letters and a colon, will confuse FFmpeg and it will think that it's a protocol. So let's just test this, because I have a suspicion that it's not going to work, because I'm trying to demonstrate it live, so of course it won't work. So I'll put this back to ffplay, and muscle memory, I didn't need to do that, but never mind. And go back to our camera directory, and so video, timestamp, this one, there. Hey, it did work. Cool. What if I give it a different one? Video timestamp, the one before it. That works as well. Woohoo! Okay, so now instead of the static text hello there, we'd like to put the created date in. Now, I think I'm still going to have to go to EXIF tool for that. I'm not sure that FFmpeg will be able to give me that, but let's have a look. FFmpeg file. Let's see, there you go, there's my trying to put titles in. Well, this is all streaming from it. Yeah, no, FFmpeg's not going to have this. But EXIF tool does. Oops. Never mind. Right. So we're looking for the create date, which here has been blatted out. It's been wiped. This will be part of the problem that I was having with my other shell script, which I'm still working on, was that I was having it update the metadata and put the title into the metadata of the video, and then only render that on the very last pass. But I think I was getting ahead of myself. So this is perhaps not a wonderful example file to use. Try that one. This is better. Create date, and there's the timestamp. So what we want to do is to get this line and ignore all the others. So first off, let's pipe this to sed. Turn off printing of line numbers, and if you match create date, print the line. Cool. It found 3 lines, and they all have create dates on them. So what we want to find is one that specifically begins with create date, and it finds that one. But let's also just be a little bit safe and say after create date only spaces, and at least one of them, until you find a colon. That didn't work. Spaces S. Is it W for white space? Oh, it may be yeah, extended regex. Okay. So the line must begin with create date, and then there must be nothing afterwards but spaces until you get to a colon, and then you're going to get a space as well. And then what we say is substitute, because we're going to make a change to this line. I'm not going to bother putting a pattern in here, because if you leave the pattern blank, then it will use whatever pattern was the last that triggered the substitution. So it's a bit of a shorthand for this. And whatever it matched on, all of this, I want you to just delete it, which is a replacement with nothing, and then print it. So find this and replace it with nothing, then print it. Run that, and there's just the date. So let's take that and put it into our script. Copy. And we need to do this before we put together the draw text filter. So let's put it up here. Paste that in. This is going to be the same $1 for the input file. And what we're going to do is to read those into variables. So we'll say read date time from this command. That's triggered as a reserved word because the time is a built-in function in Bash. So I'm going to say cdate for created date and ctime for created time. I mean, I'm pretty certain. I mean, I know that I could have used time as a variable name because variables and functions and built-ins don't share a namespace. But let's just, I don't like that it was triggering the syntax highlighting. That's what it comes down to. So, in fact, I avoided that syntax for the longest time because it kept highlighting in red, and that was because I hadn't figured out how to configure Vim properly for Bash scripts. Oh well. So, read created date and created time, and we're going to read them from a file, and that file is going to be a pipe which is hooked up to the standard out of this command. So we can then just say echo c date, c time, just to confirm that that is doing what I think it should. If we come back here and try it again, there you go. Date and time. They're both zero, all zeros, because that's the rubbish file that I mucked up. So let's add a little catch for that. So if c date equals 000000, if c date matches, just in case, is that right? Yeah, that's regex. So if c date matches 0000, any character, 00, any character, 00, or c time matches 00, anything, 00, anything, 00, anything, and then maybe there's trailing stuff, maybe there's not, because it might have milliseconds, it might have time, a time zone, something like that. So we just say it's going to have, it might have something on the end. But ultimately, if the values are zeros, then we need to stop because it's invalid. You're going to have to do something manual here. So then echo create date appears to be zeroed out. And we're going to route that to standard error and exit with 1 to indicate that the script has exited uncleanly, or just that there was a problem. And that's as far as it goes. So let's try that again. Create date appears to be zeroed out. But if we try it with a different file, so let's try it with the one that does have a good create date. There you go. There, come back, mouse. There's my date and there's my time. So that's good. That works. We can get those into variables, and we've checked to see that none of them are zero, because I don't want to waste time encoding things that are useless to me. So the text is then just going to be, I'm just going to stick with create date. I don't think anyone's particularly worried about the time. You know what? I don't know. I've got the data. I may as well. Let's just do that and see what happens. See how it looks. So the text is then going to be the created date and the created time, just superimposed. Now let's try that. You might want to remove the debugging lines. Just saying, just might help. No! What happened? Color string 48. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, okay. Because the separators in the date and the time for the videos are colons. And colons are also the separators for the key value pairs that we're passing to FFplay or FFmpeg. So we need to escape those. I think what I'm going to do, just for safety, is I can do it in here, I think, that's fine. I'll do it in the same invocation of sed rather than start up another process. And I'll just say, before we print, in fact, match on that, and then we're going to do a bunch of commands. The first command is going to be to delete the bit that we matched on, and the second command is going to be to replace any colons with dashes, and I'm running out of space, so let's start breaking things up a little bit. Okay, going to replace the colons with dashes and then print. So if there were no colons, if they already were dashes, then fine, this isn't going to do anything, but colons are the unsafe character, so let's just replace them with dashes. And that will still leave us with a relatively sane looking date times format. Yeah, I mean, I suppose times would generally be shown with colons, but whatever. No! Oh, of course. Duh. What we need to do is, this will do it only for the first colon that it finds. We need to say G, global. Now, global in this sense means for every occurrence on the line, not everywhere on every line, but just on the line that you're looking at. So, hooray! There we go. Now, how does that look? Yeah, you know what? I think that looks perfectly acceptable. I think I'm going to actually use that. So, instead of ffplay, we're going to say FFmpeg. Now, here's going to come the tricky bit, because I can't say, because it's going to transcode, basically, is the issue. And I can't say just copy the video codec as it is, because it's going to be transcoded. So let's have a quick Google, actually. Let's just have a quick Google. I'm doing this live-ish, so let's have a quick Google. FFmpeg output codec, same as input with filters. Okay, now I already know that you can't use filtering and stream copy together, but maybe somebody here will suggest an alternative. Yeah, you can't do that. Well, that's helpful. Not possible. Yep. Yeah. Not possible to filter and stream copy. However, you can stream copy unfiltered streams while filtered. No, okay, that's not helpful. How to apply filters without losing quality. That sounds like what I want. Re-encode to a lossless format. Although you must re-encode for filtering, it does not mean you have to lose quality. Yes, I could use a lossless format. That is going to make the files quite big. But, sod it, it will work for now, and I've used huff-yuv before. So, FFmpeg, video codec, huff-yuv, and then the output is going to be, oh, I've got a ding on my phone. We need the extension for the file so that it keeps the same container. Actually, no, we don't. It doesn't matter because I'm transcoding it anyway. So let's just chop off the extension, .star, and stick the huff-yuv video into an mkv container, and the audio we can just copy. Do we think that's going to work? Let's try it, and let's see how big the output file is. This'll do for now. It'll do for now. Ideally, I would like it to match the codec. I suppose that would be nice, but I suppose that could also be lossy. So I don't know. I guess these files, the annotated files, don't necessarily need to hang around for very long. I just create them, stitch them together, re-encode them, and then delete them. So as long as I've got a bit of scratch space on my SSD, I think I should be fine. Speaking of which, ooh, okay. Well, I've got 30 gigs available. That's not too bad. So, go on. Let's try it. No! What's happened? What has happened? So this is suggesting to me that, yeah, that this file has been... Has that file been truncated? Have I already knackered this? FFplay file. That one. No, it's still there. Okay. What have I missed? Output file 0 does not contain any stream. Okay, well, you know what? When in doubt, using it, make sure when passing the commands in the string array. Do not add any extra space. Well, yeah. No, you haven't. Yeah, no, sorry. Oh, copy back. Nobody seems to. That's very interesting. I don't want you to output an MP4 though. This is. You know what it is. You know what it is. Let's be more specific about this. Oh no! Undo! Yeah. So, FFmpeg, input this file, run it through this filter graph. The output codec should be huff.yuv. The output codec, just copy and put it in an MKV container. Okay, now let's try it. Protocol not found. Woohoo! That's an oldie. I know what that error means. Woo! Okay, let's let that run. I don't think it's going to take a huge amount of time. I'm just going to let it run, and I might speed it up in the video depending on how long it takes. Hooray! I only got to eat 2 grapes. I'll have a third. Right. What's happening? We have an MP4 and we have an MKV. Let's compare them. Holy! 5.3 gigs. Wow. Okay. I'm going to need to sort something for that. I don't think I have enough storage space to scratch that. Okay. I think I'm going to need to spend some time thinking about this and get back to you. But in the meantime, yes, that is how you can overlay some text onto a video using FFmpeg and an associative array in Bash. It definitely has room for improvements, which, yeah, cool. That's lots of scope. Anywho, yeah, I'll cut this short now because I think this has probably gone on long enough, and I'm starting to feel it in my throat. So, yeah, have a good one. Where's the thing? Ah.